Hello everyone, my name is Ishmael Kamara. This is my research project for English class. This project will be about the civil rights movement in America that happened during the 1960s. According to a website called Ducksters.com, the civil rights movement gained momentum in the 1950s when the Supreme Court ruled that segregation in schools was illegal in the case of Brown versus Board of Education. Federal troops were brought into Little Rock, Arkansas to allow the Little Rock Nine to attend a previously all-white high school. On Ducksters.com, I also managed to find this picture of basically a Jim Crow drinking fountain in the 1950s and 60s. Major events that happened in the movement were in the 1950s and early 1960s. These events brought about several major events in the fight for the civil rights of African Americans. In 1955, Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up her seat on the bus to a white passenger. This sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, which lasted for over a year and brought Martin Luther King Jr. to the forefront of the movement. King led a number of non-violent protests during the Birmingham campaign and the March on Washington. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson. This act outlawed segregation and the Jim Crow laws of the South. It also outlawed discrimination based on race, national background, and gender. Although there were still many issues, this law gave the NAACP and other organizations a strong base on which to fight discrimination in the courts. Another law passed was in 1965, and that law was the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This law said that citizens should not be denied the right to vote based on their race. It outlawed literacy tests, a requirement that people be able to read, and poll taxes, which is a fee that people had to pay in order to vote. So that concludes my presentation about the civil rights movement in the 1950s and the 1960s.